What's up, Mavs fans? I assume most of you follow me on Twitter, so by now you know how I'm feeling about what just happened over these past few days. The Jazz whooped us up and down the court for both games. I thought maybe game one was a fluke, and that even if it wasn't, that we would come out with some level of intensity or change the game plan in some sort of way to mitigate whatever issues there were in the first one, and that did not occur. All the excuses you want to make for guys coming back off of COVID, and KP's 2 weeks, is it 2.5 weeks into his return, not having his legs under him. But the Jazz were playing without Donovan Mitchell, who is obviously their number one guy, the guy who has the ball in his hands most of the time for them. And they were also playing without Derek Favors, who is their number one reserve big, beside that spells Rudy Gobert and allows them to not give up too much talent-wise when Rudy comes out of the game. So without those guys, we still made them look like the best team in the league, which is just not exciting when coming into the year you wanted the Mavs to be a team. I personally was on a fringe get out of the first round, or at least have a great first round series type situation in the 4-5 spot. But people were talking about them potentially being like playing spoiler in the playoffs, and it just doesn't look like that's the case right now. So anyway, before we get into all that transition, I do have a couple of good things to say, positive things to promote. So first of all, I came into 2021 with some ambitious goals in mind. I set like a modest goal for the podcast, and I set an ambitious goal, like a timeline. I went and broke down what I would need to get every month to hit those goals. Went to buy the modest goal pretty quickly, and just passed the big goal a couple days ago. So with that said, going full steam ahead at the big goal. I want to thank you guys for tuning in every episode. I don't know. Like I said, I say it all the time. You're probably tired of me saying it, but when I started this, I was like, if one person listens, I'll continue. And it's been an interesting ride since then. So thank you all for supporting. I'm going to continue to try to give you quality content. I appreciate you checking in with me after these losses, after the wins, hitting me up on Twitter, sending questions, all that. Like I definitely appreciate it. It's been a fun experience. So we'll get into the recap here in a second. I do have to do a quick little ad push, but I won't take up too much more of your time on this. Okay, so first up is Mondo. Mondo works with major artists and studios to forge beautifully designed, licensed products that navigate pop culture. It started with posters, then soundtrack LPs, and has blossomed into the ever-expanding hydra of art-forward entertainment collectibles. That's games, puzzles, apparels, and toys. Custom merchandise for movies. Again, they still do posters and soundtracks, but also toys and other collectibles. If you are a person that likes movie memorabilia, definitely hit me up. I can get you a link to check out what they have in their catalog. If you make a purchase through me, it does me a good favor. So keep that in mind. Second up on the docket is Alamo Drafthouse. Dinner, drinks, movies, and events all under one roof. Their attention to detail in film presentation and programming has made them a second home to movie fans all over the planet, and earned accolades from the likes of Entertainment Weekly, who calls them the number one theater in America, Wired.com, who call them the coolest movie theater in the world, and Fandango.com, who call them one of the best theaters in the country. If you're interested in checking out an Alamo Drafthouse, most of their locations are in Texas, spread out, but they also have some locations in select cities across the United States. If you purchase movie tickets or gift cards through me, it does me a huge favor once again. So if you're not interested in going to movies right now, but you know you might go later, gift cards are the best way to support the movie industry right now during the COVID pandemic. because you can give them that revenue and then use it later when things are better. And with that, let's get into the stats and game talk. Hello and welcome back yet again to the Bibbs Corner podcast. I'm your host, as always, Mike Bibbins, on Twitter at Bibbs Corner. And we're going to get into these Jazz games. I'm going to call it the Jazz series, where we were swept 0-2 by the Jazz. And I titled both games. First game was the Rudy game. He gave us 29 and 20. Donovan Mitchell was on Twitter asking him to get to 30, but I don't think Rudy saw the tweet since he was too busy dunking on us. Bogdanovich took over in the second game, which I'm just going to say is the game where we just didn't have any heart or effort. Bogdanovich had 32 points. He was 7 or 11 from 3. But basically, the Jazz just got whatever shots they wanted against us and picked us apart like a hungry pack of lions on a lone chicken wing dropped in the Sahara or some shit. I don't know. Whatever analogy you like for that. So let's break it down. Let's look at each player performance-wise. First of all, Luka. You couldn't help but feel sorry for Luka in these games. To me, he looks a little bit banged up. Like every game, he's reaching for his knees. I know that I've given him personally a hard time for faking injuries when things aren't going well. But he legitimately looks hurt. I've seen him take hits. I'm pretty sure his knees are hurting, like daily. He's not a little biatch though, so he's gonna play through it. First game, 30 points, 4 boards, 6 assists. Tonight, 25, 6, and 7. And I mean, those are interestingly, it feels like that's a rough game for him. Wasn't able to control things the way he usually does. I think Rudy's presence in the paint kind of takes away a lot of what he's able to do. And then when guys aren't hitting shots, aren't getting open, aren't taking the shot when he kicks it out to them because they have no confidence, the whole thing just kind of falls apart. So I was glad to see him be a little bit aggressive. But I just don't know if he has that in him to like just go off for 40, 50 and force the other team to deal with him to that degree. Next on the docket, we're going to look at THJ. THJ in the first game, he did score 19 points, which means he had an average THJ game. Tonight, he was 1 for 5 with 2 points. We know he didn't step up on the defensive end because he's not capable. I'm so done with THJ. And what's his excuse, by the way? Did he have COVID? Is he coming back from COVID? No? Okay. All right. So THJ, ho-hum at best and annoying to bad at worst in this 2-game stretch. But who was his matchup? Donovan Mitchell wasn't guarding him. I know Donovan Mitchell is known as a defender, so Donovan wasn't guarding him. I don't know what the excuse is besides him just not being a great basketball player that some people want to make him out to be. Josh Richardson, again, coming off the COVID, wasn't shooting well before the COVID anyway. 6 points in each game, 3 for 7 in game 1, 3 for 8 tonight. Played 25 or so minutes in both games, or 25 to 30. And that's pretty much the rest of these guys, 25 to 30 minutes. Or 20 to 30 minutes, I'll say, because I'm going to go a little deeper. Pause. Jay Rich looks rusty. Still playing pretty good defense. Still has that same intensity, but just not. I don't know. Again, I've been told by the optimists to wait 5 games after Maxey comes back before I start making strong statements about things, but it's really not looking like Richardson is going to be the answer here. He's in his prime, so we can't talk about him developing. It doesn't look like he's going to be that answer as that complimentary guy to Luka. With that said, I still like what he does for us. and I'd be interested in seeing him come. Like, if things don't change, if he is what he is, then I'm still interested in him coming back, just not on a big contract. And that's something to look at. THJ, I'm not interested in at this point. But Richardson, I'd be interested in because he actually plays defense. So even when he's not hitting shots, he can still impact the game in a positive way. The next person is none other than Kristaps Porzingis. The first game, he had 18 and 5, was 8 for 18 from the field, but completely destroyed by Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert was doing whatever he wanted. And even tonight, he was 4 for 14. 1 for 5 from 3, had 11 points and 9 boards. Did a lot of his damage late in the game when it was well out of reach already. Rudy had him in foul trouble. I think every single foul that he got was against Rudy, if I'm not mistaken. And it's funny because the casuals that talk about players like Rudy Gobert being dinosaurs would expect a guy like Porzingis to give him trouble, but that was not the case at all. But that's you know that if you watched basketball beyond your own team from time to time. But I understand everybody doesn't have time for that. I just wish they would also understand that they don't have to have an opinion on everything. But that's another story. I'm sorry, I got off track and I'm being mean. I apologize. If you're one of those people, please forgive me. I love you. You're beautiful. Continue to do what you do. I'm not going to stop you. Anyway, so the one good thing I'll say about Porzingis is that I did appreciate that in this second game, he did at least try to get rebounds. Like I said, he ended up with 9, and he was still slightly outclassed in that area. But in the first game, Rudy was just doing whatever he wanted, grabbing every single rebound, and there was no effort from anybody else on the team to even contest him on a rebound. Tonight, the Jazz were still getting second opportunities on every single miss, maybe third and fourth, depending on if they needed that to get the shot to go in. But the effort from KP to try to rebound tonight, I appreciated that. He still looks lost. He still looks like he doesn't remember the bubble, and he and Luka don't have any type of chemistry on the court. I don't know. It doesn't look good, is what I'll say there. But again, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna give it time. I'm gonna hope that Maxey being a glue guy extends beyond just giving him that label because he does all the little things, and that he somehow is the glue that's gonna bring this unit back together. Because right now it looks horrible, and I need something to believe in. What else? DFS first game. He was 1 of 8, 1 for 6 for 3. I think all his shots were short. You could tell he probably looked a little fatigued. Came back in this game. Still didn't have quite the presence that he sometimes has defensively. But offensively, he did shoot better. He was 4 for 9, 3 from 8 from 3. He had 11 points. Rudy Gobert was guarding him. That's why he shot 8 threes. They were pretty much daring him to shoot most of the time. I think Rudy did block one as well. But the thing about Rudy Gobert is that he is 7'2", and he has a very long wingspan. So yes, he's gonna play off a guy on the perimeter, but it's not easy to shoot over a guy like that, even if they're not up on you. If you're up on you, it's impossible to shoot. But even if he's playing off of you, that hand is still blocking your view of the rim. I don't know if you've ever been beside a 7'2" person. Or if, depending on your height, we'll say a person that is the equivalent of half a foot taller than you or a foot taller than you, depending on who you are. That's not easy to shoot over, even if he's not up on you. And he moves better than people give him credit for. So even if he is a little bit further out than he maybe wants to be, he can still move with most guys. And he's smart enough to try to contest the shot without fouling. So people don't give Rudy enough credit. They still won't after this game. It is what it is. He is the modern day Bill Russell. And I don't think I realized that until I did the GOAT series, and I read a lot about what Bill Russell was. I read about why he was even drafted. Red Auerbach But is it Red Auerbach? That feels wrong. It might be. It's Red. I'm going to go with it. Red Auerbach was questioned for drafting him because he wasn't known as a scorer. But Auerbach knew what other people didn't because they already had scorers. They needed a guy to be an anchor in the paint on the defense, to clear the glass, and set screens. And that's what he did. He set screens. He never averaged 20 points a game, ever, in his career. He rebounded the hell out of the ball and played good defense. He was somewhat switchable on the perimeter. There wasn't really a perimeter back then, so most guys were trying to get to mid-range at least anyway. But he was athletic enough to stick with smaller guards to a certain degree, enough to where he could get to the shot and block it if they went by him still. He was that presence that deterred people from coming to the paint, and that's what Rudy Gobert is. Again, I'm not saying he's as good as Bill Russell, and maybe he kind of is, and we just don't realize it because of the depth of the league. He's not playing with 3 or 4 of the best 5 shooters or being scorers in the league like the Celtics were, and the league doesn't have 8 teams anymore. And, you know, I could go down a rabbit hole here. I want to say Rudy was just on the outside of the GOAT series list last time. I don't remember him being on the list, but he was just outside if he wasn't on the list. And he's definitely going to end up in there, I believe. So how do I not remember if he was on there? Matter of fact, you know what? I can check that because this is my podcast and I don't have to take my time at all. Spreadsheet. I'm going to find out where he was. I'm going to say I don't think he was in. Where was he? Was he in? Maybe he was. He wouldn't be this high. Where was Rudy? I'm going to give up if I don't see him soon. Well, he wasn't as high up as I thought. He was actually at number 100 on the GOAT list. He's right behind Alonzo Mourning. I'm going to say a name. He's actually ahead of Kevin McHale and Grant Hill and Amari Stoudemire and Chris Webber, Tim Hardaway. He's actually ahead of Paul George. That's interesting. Anyway, that's for another day. Where am I at? So, moving on. Brunson, 6'5" in the first game, 13 off the bench. In the second game, Johnson 10-4 in this game, 8-7 with 4 blocks in the first game. Again, whatever. Johnson did his job, but when people aren't doing their jobs, you want other people to step up. So it would have been nice, but again, I can't be mad at Johnson. So right now, if you were to ask me who am I not mad at, it's gonna be Luka. DFS in game 2 and Johnson consistently. So those are pretty much my 3. Maybe Brunson is kind of fringe. He did okay. That is what it is. Dwight Powell, I'm not mad at him in game 2 either. He brought great energy. He was trying. 6-5. Only guy besides Luka that played with any heart and effort until Green came in. Green played 8 minutes. He had 7 points tonight. That's not important. He had a corner 3 that he shot immediately after he caught it, bent his knees, let it go, and was going down the court before it went in. He had a layup where he did like a spin and then finished it as a reverse still. Then he had a pull-up jumper off the bounce, off a handoff from Boban that looks fluid. So good to see him look confident and take those shots when he got the opportunities. That's what he has to do if he plans to start supplanting some of these guys that are up and down that are currently ahead of him in the rotation. So liked seeing that. We'll see. I have a sneaky suspicion that some guys are going to be rested tomorrow or on like a minutes limit. We'll see. But I would love to see Green get another opportunity come out and do some more of what he did tonight. And that's pretty much it for this portion of it. I'm not going to harp on these games for too long. We have the Suns tomorrow. I do plan to do another podcast. Yeah, I do plan to do another podcast tomorrow night. I'm actually going to make an appearance with the Buckets and Beyond crew as well. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm going to take another quick break, and I got one more promo I need to drop on y'all. So bear with me. Okay, I'm back again to promote something. Bear with me. Right now, a lot of people are looking to cut the cord, and VidGo is here to help. VidGo is a live TV streaming service that includes live entertainment, lifestyle, news, and sports channels for only $40 a month. Right now, they're doing a promotion for $10 a month for the first 2 months for new customers. The service has locals from ABC and Fox in select markets, as well as entertainment channels from A&E Networks, Disney, Discovery, Viacom, and sports channels like ESPN, ESPNU, Fox Sports, NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, and the Pac-12 Network. If you're interested in checking them out, they also have a Spanish option as well. They have a full slate of Spanish channels as well. So if you're interested in checking them out, hit me up. I'll get you a link. Again, if you subscribe through one of my links, I get a little something for that. So I appreciate you all. And that goes again for Alamo Drafthouse and Mondo as well. Hit me up. Let me get you a link. And let's get back to this podcast. All right, we're back at it, folks. I wasn't going to do questions tonight. I did not put out a request for questions, but I did get one, and it was a pretty solid one. So a question came from @Beatrix_88, and he said, and I'm going to assume that the language usage isn't necessarily what they're looking for an answer. So the question was, who does Luka respect on this team? And I'm going to translate that to who does he trust? And I'm going to base my answer on who I've seen Luka get visibly frustrated at or by something they've done or not done, and who I don't believe I have. So as far as who I think, as far as like if they come to Luka and say, can we trade this person, who I think he's going to fight for, I think it's Maxey. I think it's DFS. And I think it's Boban. I honestly can't look at a single other player on the roster and say that Luka would stop them from being traded. And then again, I don't know if I think he would understand Boban more than Maxey or DFS. I think Maxey and DFS are the road dogs, though. I think those are the guys that have to be, like, guys that he can depend on one way or another and is going to fight for and is going to not get down on when they're missing shots and stuff. Because when they're missing shots, they're at least taking the right shots. Not hitting shots is not a reason to lose trust of someone. It's the type of, if you're taking stupid shots, THJ, then it's a problem. Or if you're looking me off when you got the ball, Brunson, that's a problem. So yeah, as far as like tenure and all that good stuff, I think I'm excluding the rookies from this because I just think they're new and it's too early to say anything like that about them. I would have added Green to the list otherwise. But I don't believe that anybody else has either his trust, and I don't believe they are comfortable around him. Like even Porzingis, like I said, looks like he's lost around Luka. Like Luka's on another stratosphere, and somehow that's intimidating to people. So yeah, that's that on that. I did have a parting thought I wanted to get to, and this is going to be somewhat of a rant, but I have to do it because I had a conversation that kind of sparked this thought based on the way people talk around this topic. So, parting thought: Rudy Gobert is a traditional big. Just to keep it simple, he's a traditional big. He doesn't shoot jumpers. He rebounds, block shots, and plays good defense and dunks. That's pretty much it, right? But the Jazz are shooting lights out from the three. They're at the top 2 or 3 in attempts. I think they're number 1 in attempts. They might be number 1 in attempts and like number 2 or 3 in percentage. Anyway, they're top 3 in both. Other teams that shot a high rate of threes historically did not make them at a great rate. Even the Warriors type teams. And the Warriors really weren't as crazy as like teams like the Rockets, for example, or the Mavs last year. They're shooting like 40% or above from 3 right now. The Mavs shot like 35-4, somewhere in that range. The Rockets never shot a great percentage from 3. The more they shot, the worse their percentage got. And the ticket and the way that the analytic heads sell it is by saying, oh, if you take a sheer volume, even if you shoot a lower percentage, the threes will mitigate the difference between that and the 2 points even though you're making them at a higher rate, it's less points and blah, blah, blah. I did the math and calculations. It pretty much comes out even based on the percentage they were shooting from 3. And I think I did league average from 3 and league average from 2. And if you're shooting at that, then it pretty much cancels out the percentage-wise and the volume based on what the Rockets did. And then when they were shooting below league average from 3, that just made it even worse. They started out slightly above, and it got worse over the past few years. Probably the Westbrook effect. But anyway, to get off that, so the Jazz shoot a high clip of threes, but they can do that because they also shoot a ridiculous percentage. So now you have a team shooting this high rate of threes, but actually making them. Plus, they make twos at a high rate because they have a 7'2" center, and they get a lot of second chance opportunities because they have a 7'2" center, and they are a top offense in the league. They were already a top defense. The offense has just come along with it. Bogdanovich is a huge part of that. People forget he was not there in the bubble because he got injured in the gap between the stoppage and the return. And they still pushed Denver, who was a conference finals team, to 7 games. Rudy Gobert did not get played off the court by the Nuggets. He had a double-double in the fourth quarter of one game. More than 10 points and 10 rebounds in the fourth quarter alone. He had a huge performance, I thought. I think he's come a long way. I think he's more comfortable. Historically, when they played the Warriors or the Rockets in the playoffs, he was a little bit more timid and he felt the pressure of being on that island, but I don't think he feels that anymore. I think he's comfortable with being just contesting and being able to get back to the rebound if the person misses. And law of averages says that they're going to miss more than they make it, and that you live with that, basically. I love where they are as a team. I hope they stay healthy. Again, if you haven't checked out the last episode with Josh where I did the season preview, I had predicted the Jazz to be the 3rd seed in the West, and they obviously are right now the 1. I also had them in the conference finals. And I'm willing I could see them in the finals. I'm just gonna say that and keep it funky. So anyway, based on that, the Jazz playing with Rudy Gobert in the middle, and we'll call them shooters all around. Besides Mike Conley's not really a shooter. He can shoot it, but he's not really somebody you would call a shooter. And I'm gonna double check the stats because I know how people like to get. So let me double check the stats to make sure Mike Conley isn't some lights out shooter. And I'm just not paying attention. Let me pull him up. Hold on. It's right here. There he is. Mike Conley. 3-point percentage. So, his career, he's about a 37% free throw shooter, which is slightly above league average. This year, he's shooting 42%, and I'm going to call that the Rudy Gobert effect. Kiss my buns. Anyway, guys that can hit threes. Donovan Mitchell's not a great shooter. Let me pull him up real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Bump, bump, bump. There we go. So before this season, Donovan Mitchell, 34%, 36%, 36%, which is at or below league average. This year, he's up to 39.5 right now. And shooting more. So the team has gotten better shooting threes. Rudy Gobert is a big part of why they're able to get the looks that they get. His screens are ridiculous. Like, literally, if the possession's not going well, Rudy Gobert sets a screen, and like Mike Conley will literally just stand behind Rudy Gobert and shoot over him, and that's an open look. When people come off of screens, they can do whatever they want. Donovan Mitchell is one of the best guys coming off a screen because he's just so explosive. Once he gets in the middle of the floor, now you've got to collapse on him, and Rudy's ability to set those big, solid screens creates that. Rudy's ability to roll and be a huge target that consumes a third of the court is a big part of guys getting open on the perimeter. And now his improved ability to finish. I'm a fan of bringing that to Dallas. So every game we have the debate about bringing a big man to Dallas. I think most people have at least acknowledged that we probably do need a big man. They don't want to pay for him. Don't know why that's coming up, because nobody is paying out of their pockets for a big man. That's Mark Cuban's problem. But I don't want to bargain big. I want the production. The production is what matters to me. The money does not at all. So, again, you bring in a real center. It does not ruin spacing, as we will say. People say, oh, you can't have two bigs this, two bigs that. But those same people will say that KP needs to be shooting threes. So is KP a big or not in this discussion? And I say no, he's not a big in this discussion. He is a shooter. He's not rolling to the rim on a pick and roll because he can't run through anybody. He's too weak in most scenarios. He ends up being a shooter. So you can play him as a shooter, or you can play him as the lone big. The Warriors' death lineup, they didn't start that lineup. That lineup came in later. That's what we can do. Let's say, for the sake of argument, we'll make it Drummond. Mavs get desperate, take a shot at bringing in Drummond, knowing that he can walk in the offseason and that he may want a bag in the offseason. So they bring in Drummond. Drummond and KP start together. And what happens? Early in the game, Luka, Drummond, pick and roll action. Teams actually have to respond to Drummond on the roll because he can actually finish. Even if he's not wide open, he can power through most guys in the NBA. Drummond actually having talent around him makes him a completely different player. Let's say Luka runs that pick and roll action with Drummond. Teams respond, collapse on him and Drummond. He kicks it out. Dorian Finney-Smith misses a three. Guess who's in the paint? Luka Doncic, averaging 10 rebounds a game. And Andre Drummond, averaging 15 rebounds a game. They're in the paint now, waiting for that rebound. So then what? Drummond gets the ball. He's not Willie Cauley-Stein and having to pass it out because he doesn't have any ass to move anybody. He can move somebody. He gets that rebound, boom, knock him out the way, back in. Gets the rebound, team's collapsed. Kick it back out. Richardson gets a shot. Gets the rebound. Passes it. Both the guys that are in the paint guarding him and Luka are on him. Drop it off to Luka. That's a change to our dynamic. So then what happens? Either Drummond or KP comes out, depending on how those first 5 minutes go. Now you play with one of them. You bring in Maxey or somebody off to join the flow and become another shooter. Maybe you take out KP, bring in Maxey. Now you got Maxey, Drummond, and a couple shooters with Luka. After another few minutes, you bring KP in, you take Drummond out. Stagger their minutes from there on out. They start 5 minutes together each half or each game. Drummond doesn't play a ton of minutes now. He plays like 25 minutes a game, depending on matchups. And dominates those minutes usually. You don't have to play him 35 minutes. He doesn't have to be on the court at the end of games necessarily. If that's how y'all feel he's going to get played off the court, okay, I don't care where he's at the end of the game. If he gave me 20 and 15 in the middle, or 15 and 15 in the middle of the game, those minutes matter too. And if we do end up in a situation where we need him at the end of the game, he's there. We currently don't have that option. So I would like for people to have a little bit bigger brains around this whole situation. There are ways to make that work. And as far as the money, if Porzingis is not going to be around, we can't do anything about his contract at this point. But if he's not going to be around all the time, and we need somebody to be that complimentary player to Luka, it makes sense to overspend or spend more than you would want to on somebody that does quote unquote similar things. KP does not play like a big man. So even though he's 7'3", you cannot act like he's a big and then also act like he's not. He can't defend any bigs in the paint. That's probably. I mean, we just saw Gobert get him into foul trouble tonight. So you have to look at him more realistically. He is not a big just because he is tall. If we play with KP at the 5, we're playing 5 out, which is cute. It's a good way to score points. But it doesn't get you to the rings. So we said we were changing philosophy. That's part of that change. We're not going to be a great defensive team with KP as our only big man. It's just not going to happen. He's never. Who can he defend? What guy? What position? Nobody. So we need somebody to cover his cheeks. And that's that on that. I'm going to say one more thing, actually. We have 3 huge issues on our team right now. Paint defense, can't guard the rim for anything. Guys can get layups whenever they want against us. Perimeter defense. After guys collapse our defense, they can kick it out for whatever shot they want. And then rebounding. We give up way too many second chances. We don't create our own second chances. So, for me, the biggest issue is going to be rebounding. And if that's the one I care about the most, we don't have anybody on the roster built to do that. We can't expect players who have never rebounded in their lives to suddenly decide that rebounding is important. You either have it or you don't. And so I'm going to go get somebody that does that. And you have a guy who does it at a historic rate who is on the block. So I'm going for it. At this point, I'm going for it. If you care about this team, if you care about Luka not being depressed after every game, then you go for it. You don't sell the farm to do it, and I don't think you have to. I watched the game tonight. Drummond and Allen played pretty much the same minutes, and Allen got the closing minutes. Feels like they're trying to feel him out in that key role. Drummond had more impact on the game, positive, I should say, impact on the game, but he didn't play those closing minutes. And, I mean, it's clear. It makes the most sense for them to trade him. He's not the long-term guy. They're going to give Allen his big contract after the year is up. So, again, I don't see why we wouldn't go for that at this point. Worst case scenario, it's a rental. He leaves after the season is over. It didn't work, but we took a shot. And now we know that doesn't work, and we don't have to question it anymore. Bring him in, ride it out for the next few months. If it works, boom, we just hit the jackpot. If it doesn't, then we let it go, and we probably didn't give up much to make it happen. If it takes Hardaway, whatever. If it has to be a 3-team deal, I think I had one with... there's a few teams that could get involved. I don't feel like going over that right now, but I'm still in on Drummond. I'm still in on taking a shot on Drummond. What do we have to lose? And I'm gonna catch you guys later. I talked about this way longer than I planned to. Yeah, peace.